Reserve. First, in a moral sense, it's immoral to counterfeit money, and they're the big counterfeiters. And you and I, Bastiat in the law makes a very good point. If you and I can't do it, the government should never be allowed to do it either. Redistribute wealth by using your neighbor's money against their wishes. The government shouldn't be able to do that either. But the Federal Reserve actually does duplicate monetary units and does not increase wealth. It increases some people's wealth, but if you had all things even except the increase in the supply of money and credit, the inflation of the monetary system, with the destruction of the value of the money, there is a transfer of wealth. Basically, it's from the middle class to the wealthy. It's the people who get to use the money first, the large corporations, the banks, the governments, the bureaucrats, and foreign receivers of our money. They benefit the most. The people who get to use it last are the people in the middle class because they get the higher prices. So it's a very unfair system. Economically, it's a disaster because they are responsible for the business cycle. They create artificially low interest rates. They pump money into certain areas, and it's amplified by the Congress. Housing bubble is the best example of this. Excessive credit, people thinking there is a lot of savings, they build too many houses, and then we have these programs that said you must give loans to people who don't qualify, and boy, it looks like it's a golden dream because they give people houses that wouldn't have qualified otherwise, then the value of the house goes up, and they borrow against it. It looks like a cash cow. Yeah, until somebody recognizes, as many economists have, and something I had talked about, and that is, it leads to a bubble. Bubbles don't last. Bubbles burst, and then you suffer the consequences, and that is what happens. Demonstrates the fallacy of the entitlement system. Entitlements, I would say, for the most part, are motivated by well-meaning people. People need help. We have to do that. They do need a house, so we're going to help them get a house. And so it's well-motivated. But who made a lot of money when the bubble was being, blown up? It was the people who were the mortgage people, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, making bundles. Then they get into the speculative derivatives business. They make billions of dollars, and everybody's cashing in on it. But then when the predictable bubble burst, guess what? Who got the bailout? The people we were claiming we were helping, give poor people houses? Well, they were the first ones to lose their job, and they lost their houses. Who got the bailout? The people who've been making the money all along. And it's all orchestrated through the Federal Reserve System because they serve special interests. That's why we have to take a quick look at it. Of liberty, you want small government, because the more power a government has, the less liberty we have. So if there is a lender of last resort and we don't tax for all that we spend and we don't borrow enough, we print the money, that means if you're spending too much money for war and the Fed monetizes that debt, this facilitates entitlement system, the welfare system, as well as the welfare warfare state. It wouldn't happen without the Federal Reserve. This is why the founders were absolutely adamant about the monetary system. They say, don't print money. You can't use it. The states can use only gold and silver as legal tender because they didn't want inflation. I believe our goal should be, in all political action, all our personal lives as well, that our goal should be to enhance liberty. That should be what we're all about. But the tragedy is that's not what's happening. Today it's been turned over to the lobbyists. The lobbyists are now in the business of redistributing the wealth, but the wealth is shrinking. There's a pie that's getting smaller and smaller, and every group is getting more aggressive. How are we going to get this money? How are we going to get this money? At the same time, we're producing less. We have less jobs in this country. We had 30 million new people come, in this country in the last 10 years. We've had no significant new jobs. Manufacturing, 56,000, business jobs, manufacturing businesses, not just jobs, went overseas. So this cannot be maintained. We are reaching a point where something has to give. It'll be financial, it'll be monetary, it's going to be inflationary, it's going to be the American people sick and tired of the attack on our personal liberties and invasion of our privacy. But this will end because it can't continue. If the world can keep taking our dollars and financing this debt as they are currently doing, theoretically then none of us would ever have to work again because we'll just print the money. Everybody knows that won't work, but so far it is doing it. Last year, there was a record. There are some years where the Federal Reserve buys just a small amount of debt. Last year, because foreigners weren't buying so much, the Federal Reserve had to buy 61% of our debt. And they're still, by doing that, they've been able to keep the interest rates artificially low and thinking that they can get these bubbles forming again, but they cannot. So it is going to be something that your generation, this generation has to meet up with. I've often said, but I don't say it anymore, that we can't run up these debts because we're passing them on to the next generation. That is not true. We pass them on to this generation, and we have to face the fact that this debt is overwhelming, and we have to shrink the size of government and cut the spending.